Welcome to Nerdist Podcast number 875. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. It doesn't matter what kind of a digital thing you need, a digital store to sell your products and or services, or maybe you just want to express yourself because you got feelings, man, and or woman. And Squarespace gives you everything you need to make your next move into a reality. And they have these beautifully designed templates and customizable features. So create a website. It's simple to do so. And you just add and arrange your content with the click of a mouse. Any level of experience you have, Squarespace is absolutely the way to go. Start your free trial today. Squarespace.com. Enter the offer code NERDIST to get your first 10% off purchase. Now, Katie Levine, I noticed that you're looking at, let's just call it a corkboard. Yes. And let's just assume that it's from the Nerdist community. What would a Nerdist community corkboard type thing have on it presently?
Well, we have a lot of cool things. The first thing on here is the Cleveland Vegan Society is having their Veg Fest this Saturday, June 3rd, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Huntington Convention Center of Cleveland. It's on Lakeside Avenue. They're going to have a lot of vegan food and cooking demos. They're going to have speakers and live entertainment, children activities, film screenings, a cruelty-free marketplace. It sounds like it's going to be really fun. It is free, but they are asking for a donation if you're able to. And you can find out more info at clevelandvegansociety.org.
Excellent.
And then also, I just got this one in the mail. This is from Steven Seigman. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He mailed that to you? Yes, mailed it. No, from an email. And he said, my wife, Laura, has embarked on an amazing project that I think the community might find interesting. Her father was killed by a distracted driver on their cell phone, and a few years later, my wife found his bucket list. He'd only crossed off 5 of 60 things, so now she's finishing the list in his memory and writing about each one.
And first of all, fuck the person who was on their phone and hurt another person and took their life. Second of all, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. That is one of the most beautiful things I've...
And so you can look at and see what she's doing and writing about at myfatherslist.com.
Oh, my God. How can you not just start crying? I mean, that's so... That is incredible. And
Isn't that sweet?
Yes. Holy shit. I don't even know what to say after that. I mean, that is... What are their names?
Stephen and Laura.
Stephen and Laura, I love you so fucking much that you're doing this, Laura. Thank you. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing that happened, but the fact that you're taking this tragedy and turning into something positive and beautiful to expand your horizons and live out through your father's wish list, bucket list is it's just stunning. It's a stunning thing to do.
Yeah, so check it out and see.
What can people do? Is there anything?
I mean, she's just writing about them.
So just
go to myfatherslist.com and you can see what she's doing and she's writing about each experience.
Well, this episode of the podcast is Wayne Coyne of The Flaming Lips. He's promoting their new album, Oczy Mlody or Oczy Melody. Or Oxy Melody or Oxy Melody. We kind of, he says it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
But he explains in the podcast how he hears it. But the album is fucking fantastic. And Wayne was super cool. And I mean, I had never met Wayne or any of the Lips. But he was absolutely delightful. Also, the band is touring the United States and Europe all summer long. So you should look it up, go see them. Their live shows are great, and support a flaming lip near you. This episode also brought to you by Blue Apron. Springtime, hit the reset button, retackle those personal goals like getting fit, cleaning up your lifestyle, cooking even. Blue Apron makes incredible home cooking easy and accessible by delivering seasonal recipes with step-by-step instructions and pre-portioned ingredients right to your door, all for less than $10 a meal. I got this from my mom. I've gotten it for other family members. They absolutely love it because my mom she really does love to cook. She loves to get her hands in there.
So much fun.
Yeah, I don't think
activity.
She would not be happy if and it's the perfect balance because if she just got pre-made meals delivered to her, probably wouldn't be that fun. If she just got, I don't know, if she just had to go to the store get her own stuff, it's not as fun. So it's the perfect combination of being active but passive at the same time. So again, all for less than $10 per meal. You can customize recipes based on preference. Select a delivery option that is right for you. There's no weekly commitment. You only get deliveries when you want them. So just in June, just for example, warm smoked trout, asparagus salad, fingerling potatoes, garlic croutons, spiced zucchini enchiladas with creamy lime and tomato rice. You have peach honey glazed chicken, mashed sweet potatoes, collard greens, Thai basil. These are just some examples of stuff that you can make.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I had to wipe a little bit of spittle out of the corner of my mouth. It's just when I got to the word Thai basil, I just like, okay, easy there. But check out this week's menu. Get your first 3 meals free with free shipping. Go to blueapron.com/Nerdist. You're going to love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home cooked meals with Blue Apron. Don't wait. Blueapron.com/Nerdist. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. And now, here's a better way to podcast. And there's podcast number 875 with Wayne Coyne as Katie Levine rolls the thing.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Welcome.
All right. Does this place always look like this?
It does. Yeah, this is my dressing room office is through that door, and so I took over the space and,
I see.
and sort of I'll show you when we're done. But it's it all kind of looks like this.
Is this like stuff that you've just collected over the years?
Yes, and it's. I really wish I could fit more of it in here because I'm just running. I'm running out of space for all my fucking toys. And my wife is awesome, so she keeps like she just orders stuff. Goes, here, I got you like this Job of the Hutt. I got you this job, and I go, that's really great. We don't have any room, please.
Well, no, I know that's what everybody. That's the dilemma. It's like the world of plastic toys is like, well, where do you put it?
I never thought I'd be in a space where I married someone who actually understood the things I liked, and I got to a point where I was like, you got to stop. I don't know where I'm going to put all this stuff anymore.
Right.
When we're done, can you call my wife for me because my son's Star Wars collection is squeezing us out of the house.
Well,
And
that's
she's
fair,
getting
though.
Less understanding.
Is it all original action figures and stuff, or what does he collect?
Keeps it in the box.
Yep.
And the whole room looks like a Star Wars poster.
You know, the crazy thing now is that the idea of whether or not to take something out of the box is so because at that time people didn't really think about that, and so things were more limited. Yeah. But now people make things with the idea of like, oh, this is a collector's thing. So I wonder if that makes it less special somehow now.
So those people buy 2.
They just buy 2, yeah.
I think it does make it slightly less.
Well, you could be right, but everyone we still know, the really hardcore collectors buy 2.
I mean, I spy that vintage-looking Star Trek shirt underneath your jacket, so
I got it at Target.
You did? Do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's awesome.
I do too.
Because otherwise you're buying it from, like the StarTrek.com, and it just, the idea that you can buy it at Target, I think is a great.
It's nice that
it looks vintage. It's kind of got
It's nice that it's culturally acceptable now. Do you collect anything, Wayne?
I don't think I do, but yeah. Those shoes
and
are
I were just
insane.
talking because I collect sneakers, and those are pretty great.
Yeah, these are the SB line.
All I do is collect.
Well, I don't collect sneakers. No, you do. You got me these, but I think the purple iridescent thing is.
Those are some almost Back to the Future 2 looking shoes that you're rocking there.
No one can afford the real Back to the Future shoes.
They're like 10 grand or 20 grand. Oh, they're 16 grand or something crazy like that. I got some of the limited edition Nikes that for Alien from Alien when she wore those. Yeah,
those are nice.
I got some of those. But Wayne's rocking some pretty nice lavender.
But no, Rick got me these. See, he got me these.
They look good though.
They're very cozy for sure.
I like them. So you said you don't collect anything?
I don't think so. See, but I maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so. I think we started to collect things like, even like things like that you think, man, that's just cool. And then you get a lot of them and you don't know where to put them after a while.
But I would imagine do you still live in Oklahoma?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you probably have quite a compound in Oklahoma, I would imagine.
Well, yeah. And we do have a lot of stuff, but it's not, I know. I think I think because we would start to make things that we thought people would collect.
Right.
And then we the concept of making like candy and stuff like that that we thought was sort of temporary. That was
Right.
our solution to be like, do we really need another plastic thing that goes on the shelf? And yeah, I don't know.
Is there a weird Flaming Lips thing that you made where you're like, maybe we shouldn't have made that?
Well, yeah. There's lots of that, but not. I mean, now I think we're more. We like the idea that we make stuff, and for people that like it,
Right.
They think it's wonderful. I think they want to give you their money and have a little piece of something that you've made. I think if it feels more like a piece of art or something,
Right.
Like when we do posters and stuff, you try as best you can to have them feel like they're a limited,
Right.
Silk screen, real people did them or something like that.
Well, because you're not just you guys aren't just a band though. You guys are an experience. Your live
Well,
shows are
yeah.
an experience. Your fan
I
community is
think
an experience.
all artists probably think that, though.
I don't know. I feel like like Flaming Lips albums are the few types of albums that I will just listen to start to finish.
Well, thank you. That's a great compliment. No, but I would say some artists are probably not making records for that. They're like, pick a couple songs and
Right.
party to them. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I agree, and that's a great compliment.
Did you ever? Was that by design? Were you like, well, we don't want to just be a single band, or was it like because the albums really do unfold the story, like they really do kind of.
Well, yeah.
Like the way people used to listen to music when I was a kid. You'd buy an album and
I mean, we would go back and forth. I mean, even like a band like Alice Cooper or something,
Right.
who you'd say are great. I mean, I would still say I wouldn't listen to, hardly a whole album. There would be songs and I could say I
Right.
like them, but I wouldn't know a whole album. And like a group like the Bee Gees or something that you could like singles
Right.
off the radio or something. Even David Bowie, there's a few of his albums that are, that you would know the whole album, but there's quite a few of his albums that you just know a couple of the songs, and
Right.
it's David Bowie.
Right.
So yeah, I think it can go all over the place. I think the Rolling Stones maybe even could be like that. Where I wouldn't know every song on even their biggest albums, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, because I think I understand the idea of like, okay, well, you're assembling songs and go, okay, these songs all make sense together, but that's different than, especially something like Yoshimi, where you go, okay, you start at the beginning, and then there's a story by the end, and you can listen to the whole thing.
No, I agree. I just sometimes have a hard time saying I think one is better than the other. It's
Right.
sort of like, I mean, I think some artists. I think what the difference is they feel like I'm a singer, and then you get to hear me sing. It doesn't really matter what the song
Right.
is or what all the other stuff is about. And I think as the Flaming Lips, I mean, we take it the other way. It's like we're not really like entertainers. We're making this bunch of sounds and all these things. It's not. It's not like just put a microphone in front of us and it's so. Yeah, I think that's probably the difference. Mick Jagger probably thinks, well, you just want to. Of course, you want to hear Mick Jagger. It doesn't really matter what song I'm doing,
right?
Whereas it would be the opposite with us. It's like I'm not sure you really want to hear us. It's everything that we've made up, or it's all a construct. To sort of- yeah. So,
did you ever see the Tubes perform?
No, but I've seen, you've seen videos and pictures, and yeah, but I didn't always. I mean, I only know a little bit of their music. But
Yeah.
but obviously they're, some kind of insane stage show at some point.
Those kind of legendary stage shows where it's like,
yeah.
Well, first of all, when you understand a little bit of the business side, you go, first of all, how'd you guys make any money with like
Right.
that many people
Yeah,
on
exactly.
stage and that many theatrics?
Yeah. See, you shouldn't ask those questions. Yeah. That's like that's. No one asked the Wizard of Oz like how'd you pay for all this
Right.
stuff? Yeah, that ruins it. Yeah, that's
not
no
that it
fun.
should, not
Yeah.
that should be their main focus, but I just feel like you probably shouldn't lose money when you go on a tour.
Well, yeah, but see, now everybody's aware of those things. Yeah,
Right.
that's no fun. Yeah, we would sometimes think about the Parliament Funkadelic mothership, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's not that much. Even old videos of that anymore. There's pictures and there's stories about it, but there was one actual video. It's probably out there on YouTube somewhere or something. And the spaceship is just actually like this big. You could just hold it in your hand, and it came down on a cable, like somewhere over the audience for just a moment. And it sort of went on a cable, and then they just appeared on stage. But the idea, like you'd see a spaceship. You just see a photo of it, and you wouldn't know how big it is, and then they're all dressed up like, crazy, like they came from outer space or whatever, and you would never think about it. But nowadays there would just be too much evidence of like,
right?
Look how little it actually is.
20,000 pictures on Instagram.
This doesn't work. Look how little it is and all that. But so it is more difficult nowadays to have the mystery be compelling, because everybody wants to know how's it made now. That's how are things done.
Right.
That's part of the cool world we live in, is you get to find out. It used to be. We would ask the question, how do they put the M on the M&Ms? Mm-hmm. It's like every one of them. They're little and they're fragile, and yet when you look at 10 million M&Ms laid out, they all have this little white M on them.
Right.
And back in the day, you would just go, oh, my God, well, how do they do that? What kind of great futuristic machine is taking every one of those and putting an M on it? And then now there's these shows. They show you how everything's made, and it's
not a large anthropomorphic M&M stamping
well, it's a
on
big,
his tiny brothers.
It's a big, what is it? It's a big silk screen.
Conveyor. It's a silk screen.
It's like it just lays on there and hits them all. And I know. It's just and so for me, I sometimes feel like that it makes it even better when you know how things are done, as opposed to it being a mystery and your imagination, just letting it be. And I remember when we would cover like a Pink Floyd song or like a Beatles song, and we would run into musicians that would say, doesn't it kind of ruin it for you, once you know how everything is done? And we would always think, well, no, I think it even makes it better, because when you're really in there and you see how much or how impossible and how improbable it is to make anything that's special and original and meaningful. when you see how like big budget movies are made, it's like, oh, it's no wonder they're unwatchable most of the time, because it's just thousands of people and so much money and so much pressure.
Yeah.
Most of the people that are making them are just glad that it comes out at all and everybody gets paid. It's just too much to have any sort of quality control. And when you know that how much of that chaos is going into it, I think it's even greater achievement when it comes out the other side and is actually wonderful and entertaining and meaningful and powerful and all that.
Yeah, and you also kind of get to walk the path a little bit of like, oh, this is what they did to,
sometimes I think movies, there's even movies that aren't even very good movies, but when you see how they're made, you have a new respect for, just it being made or something. So there's a lot of ways to be interested in things. Yeah.
I love that. I love how much you embrace Oklahoma, and I love how much Oklahoma embraces you. Like when you go to, because I performed at the University of Oklahoma in Norman.
Oh, I see.
I think Norman's a great town. I really like Norman a lot.
Right.
And when you land in the airport, it's like you guys you're in the airport.
Well, we were. Now they've scraped all of us down. I don't know what happened. Maybe,
what?
Yeah, I know. I always felt like they would scrape us down and leave everybody else up, but they did. They scraped the whole window. Maybe it was just a different. Yeah. Actually, I think quite a few of the people that were on the window died while the window was up. So maybe it started to seem like
a death window.
Yeah, a foreshadowing of what was to come.
They were saving your life, is what they were doing.
Yeah, if you stayed on the window, you were going to die a sad, untimely, But no, that didn't happen. I'm still here. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I wonder if
it would be. That'd be a great movie, though, wouldn't it? Yeah, the death window.
It'd be like Death Note, but it's a window, and if you're on the window, then you're going to die. You're absolutely going to die.
Yeah.
Did you ever?
But no, I feel like Oklahoma has really made that part of my character, made me aware of it. I think Oklahoma's done more for me than I've done for it at all. Having this identity, that I probably early on wouldn't have even known what being from Oklahoma would mean. When you live there, it probably is a little bit more abstract than when you would, we'd go out into the world, and there would be a kind of stereotypical, exaggerated version of what people think from Oklahoma. It's probably still based on that Rodgers and Hammerstein play. I mean, and I remember talking to our sound engineer, and his mother was taking a trip from, I think it was from somewhere in Pennsylvania out to Arizona. And she was worried because the train had to go through Oklahoma. And she thought, you know, we might get robbed by some Indians out there. And I'm like, well, see, and you never know what part of the, you know, people's minds is still stuck in this stereotypical.
That Dust Bowl thing, you know, you might not make it out.
Well, I know it's dusty out there. Yeah, you know, it's a lot to go through. So, and I, you know, even traveling, even the first times that we would go to Europe and stuff, you know, it would be a kind of like, wow, you know, you guys are from Oklahoma and you're doing this kind of music. But it took us a while to understand, oh, they've got this Wild West, you know, this very old-fashioned, you know, vision of where we come from. That's not like that at all.
Right.
And then I think it was not too long ago, what was it, you know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that the basketball team and the Flaming Lips, you know, the Thunder and the Flaming Lips both came from Oklahoma. And then we started to get, you know, that little bit more of a modern take on what it must be like to live in Oklahoma City. You must know the Thunder. And we, even though we don't really know them, I mean, we'd say, well, we kind of do. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, we've been to the games, and I've taken pictures with some of the basketball players. And
well,
so,
and
yeah.
is Do You Realize still the official song of Oklahoma?
It's not. See, all this.
What in the fuck has happened there in the last few years?
Well, see, these are like it's like the window. Yeah, it was a temporary shrine to great things that are made by. I mean, the governor at the time, he was quite a progressive Democrat who was lucky to have 2 terms, and like a lot of two-term things, when you get to the end of that, you just do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And that was one of them.
That was one of the things.
Yeah, and I think the very next person that came in said, "Well, as soon as I can get rid of that, I will." No, I'm exaggerating that, but I think it was to be there for a little while, and I think if there was some campaign put together that would make sure it stayed there, then it probably would. But I don't think that was ever put in place. But I think the story of it being the state song of Oklahoma has now grown bigger than the reality of it would ever be. So, you know, at some point you would ask me that question 5 years from now, and I'll just say, well, of course it is. and that'll just be the way it is.
Listen,
you know?
We live in a world where people don't check shit anymore.
Well, no.
Let's just say it is, and that will make it true for a percentage of the population.
Or we do live in a world where they do, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I tried to remember that it isn't actually, but the fact that it was at one time still seems, you know, living there and being part of all that, that was indeed an absurd moment. Now, maybe it doesn't seem that absurd to the rest of the world now, you know, but when we were there, to be embraced by the city, and we have a fairly well-used alley in a kind of, you know, big center of Oklahoma City that's named Flaming Lips Alley, and it'll probably stay there, you know, until that part of the town gets destroyed or something. So that's still there. So both of these things kind of happened at the same time. So we had, you know, it's an alley, but I think the short version of it is that you have a street named after you, and,
right?
You know, and if you're not there, you picture this great, you know, 4-lane, you know, luscious, you know, boulevard going down, but it's not. It's just a little alley. So I think, what you believe it is probably takes over more than what it really is. But I think it's wonderful. I mean, people still, you know, you'll be driving down the street like, you have a street named after you, and I mean, it's it's still pretty great. Yeah.
Has someone gone in and decorated the alley and tricked it out so it's all crazy?
I mean, you think they would, or maybe it just doesn't occur to people. Yeah, I mean, I thought at some point there would be like, you know, we thought that maybe we should steal the sign and just steal it ourselves just to put in place like how important we are, that people will come to Oklahoma and steal the sign.
Sure.
But no one's ever even done that. There's no one. I mean, he has like the what we call, the rock and roll college, is situated exactly on their campus, their building, their structure that the school is in is exactly on Flaming Lips Alley. So that's a great coincidence.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Yeah, and so all that works out, but I don't think any of that's obvious if you're just traveling through town. But I'll see pictures on the internet and stuff of groups traveling through Oklahoma and stumbling upon this. And I would think this is a great hopeful thing that you could be, just a weirdo outsider arty group doing your thing, and yet a sort of mainstream, sort of nowhere, middle America place like Oklahoma City could embrace you. I think that's good news.
I think that's great, and because I think, I don't think the Midwest really gets enough credit a lot of times. I think when people think about the Midwest, they go, it's the Midwest. What it's a flyover. Like, no, there's a lot of culture there. There's a lot of really great. I mean, Norman is a charming town.
Well, yeah, and it's all becoming. For better, for worse, it's all becoming a little bit more generic. Everywhere you go is sort of becoming,
yes,
a little bit more.
There's your Target, there's your Applebee's,
your Starbucks,
there's your Starbucks,
which I think is better. I think it makes it a little bit less stressful or whatever to go and visit places.
Sure.
You kind of know, there's a bit of it's all familiar to me and some of it's not. And,
I do when people do get mad at me when I go to towns and I go, where's the, I got to find the Starbucks. Why don't you drink local? I go, because I just need a consistent experience and I travel so much that's it
very
helpful for me.
I know. That's it exactly, because I'm always doing that. I go to the front desk of the hotel and say, where's there a Starbucks? And to their credit, they think they're doing you a favor by pointing out the 5, nice, locally run, coffee shops. But I'm like you. It's like I'm not going in there to read the paper or to get on the internet, and I want coffee now.
I want a predictable experience, so
and
that
I want
can
it fast.
do what I need to do. Yeah, exactly.
This is entertainment for me, and I know, and maybe we've taken something away from that, that it should be like, this is the coffee shop in this town, and we should just, relax and,
But you still got it. But when you got, I always think about it this way. I go, well, I'm there to do a job. My job, comes first when I'm there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have it helps me. Not like it. It helps control my experience so that I do a good job. When I'm there.
I know. I think this is a secret code of something that we shouldn't talk about, because I know it makes us look like these old guys who have to have the same breakfast everywhere we go. Yeah. Instead of loving the new experience, we're like, no. But no, I totally agree. Yeah.
On vacation, I will try the new experiences, but when I'm there to work,
as soon as you get your coffee, everything changes. Yeah, it's that first cup of coffee that you don't want there to be a lot of fuss.
No.
I mean, I sometimes will go into the Starbucks, and I'll forget that there's a lot of people there that would, they know me or they'd recognize me, but they're also jacked up on coffee,
right?
So it usually could just be like, "Hey Wayne, how you doing?" It's like, "Hey Wayne," and then let me tell you my whole life story,
right? While
you're waiting to get your
right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the other. Physiological part of it, which is if I try something new and it doesn't sit well in my stomach, I can't have diarrhea on stage. There's just no time for fucking around with that.
No, that's a serious dilemma. It really is. Yeah. Because have you had that?
I've never had it, but I've been.
I've had it, but I've not had it happen. I mean, I've had it, but it's all stayed.
I did have a thing once where I ate too much food before I was performing, and I didn't feel right, but I didn't have time to evacuate the area, and I went on stage, and this is gross, and I apologize to Katie and Debbie in this room. Like 10 minutes into the set, a small silent fart leaked out on stage, and I spent the next 45 minutes going, did I shit my pants?
Well, you
and
mean
what's going to happen? When
not outwardly, but secretly.
Secretly.
Yeah.
So that was just living in the back of my brain during the entire set and going,
for sure, yeah.
Should I not get too close to? I don't know.
No, you shouldn't.
Can't always smell yourself. So I just didn't. And thankfully, the answer was no. That did not happen.
Right.
But I thought about it the entire time.
Of course. Yeah. That's a modern dilemma. There's not that many dilemmas anymore, but that would be one. There's not that often.
What about you? What was yours?
Well, nothing happened.
Okay.
I mean, I knew it was a rumble in the jungle, you know,
Right.
but I kind of feel like there's some mechanism that allows you to be in this. It's
Adrenaline, probably.
Yeah, it must be, because I mean, I've noticed this when you do talk shows and stuff. People don't sneeze on TV. I mean, you would think as much as sneezing happens just all the time, that there would be a certain amount of like, oh yeah, I remember when they, you know, someone sneezed and whatever, but it just doesn't really happen, you know. And I wondered, like, there must be some things that are shutting down when the adrenaline is
Just to
happening.
focus.
Yeah, that you are able to rise above it. I remember watching when we did Lollapalooza back in the early 90s. It was a traveling show, so you'd go from city to city, and we got to be friends with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and they would play early in the day, we'd play later in the day, so we'd get some coffee and stuff, and we'd go watch the groups play. And I remember the one day. Of all people, you know, you think of Nick as this kind of this dignified, you know, very cool at all costs, this very cool entertainer. And I remember him standing there, and he was talking about like that he really was afraid that he was going to go out there and really go for the and I remember watching him. I remember him kind of watching him. He would clench his butt a little bit but he got through it.
He got through it.
He did, and we talked about that. We talked about how there is some mechanism that is really still with you. It's not just.
I gotta say, as an argument for going to see live shows, knowing that creates a whole other dimension. There's like a tightrope walk. Like, is it happening now?
Well,
like,
I mean,
what a great.
Well, for me, it's only happened a couple of times, and that's a long time of doing stuff and not really.
Sure.
So I don't have that much anxiety about. But I'm with you. I mean, on days like today when you're going to perform, I mean, you do kind of have an idea of what you're going to put in and what's going to happen. You don't want to be up there and feeling any.
And you kind of get into your patterns. You don't really think about it too much because it's just part of your pattern.
Yeah. But yeah, if you've had those, I think it does take sometimes those sort of experiences. They sear it into your, into what you don't want to happen, and then it really does change the way you think about when you're going to. But coffee is like that. You add coffee to your gut and.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, that's why you want the consistent experience.
That's why you want the consistent experience.
It's not just a drink.
Exactly.
There's an afterwards that we're worried about.
Did I read correctly? Did you work at Long John Silver's for 13 years?
I did, but not everybody knows what that is, right? A Long John Silver's is not a very. They're not hardly around anymore, but it was a. It's
fish and chips.
Yeah, fish and chips. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the Americanized version of what you would think of as English fish and chips.
Well, when I was born in Kentucky and I grew up in Memphis, and we had those there.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, a Midwest thing, sort of. Yeah.
And I can't imagine that when I think back about eating it now, because I used to like to really eat all the extra crunchy bits.
Exactly. Those are crumblies. People would come in and order just that.
Did you sell? You would sell those?
Yeah. That was what part of the secret of all that.
Talk about like diarrhea.
No, and it is good, and it is absolutely good. I mean, it's a great eating experience, but it's just grease and very little
all the
fish.
Delicious things that are the worst things that you should have.
And it was, I think at the time it still felt like there was a lot of people that were eating fish on Fridays, right? That's like a religious?
Is that a Catholic thing?
Yeah, something about and so Fridays would be especially. Hectic, busy days. And to think of like that, eating the fish was supposed to be some sort of sacrifice that you're making. I thought,
not eating red meat. I think,
yeah, something like we're aware of our indulgences or something. I don't know, but. This fish at Long John Silver's, there's so little fish in there. This great greasy bunch of batter and the French fries and all that, and the hush puppies.
Oh, the hush puppies too.
Yeah. And the coleslaw, everything about it was just an outrageously, the coleslaw with its dressing and all that. It's just amazing. Yeah. And I worked there for a long, long time, and I loved it. I loved, the food, and I loved working there, and, I had a lot of great experiences, but never I didn't realize that how unhealthy it really was. You know, I think back then there wasn't that much. You know, I started there in 1977, so long time ago. Back, you know, at the when fast food was just.
People didn't really worry about.
No, it
health.
was just faster than other food.
It was faster
and
fattier and more delicious, and you could get it into your body quicker. But I love the idea that there's a religious movement behind Long John Silver's. Like, did the Lord say go forth and let your John Silvers be long? Was there some sort of a religious?
Yeah, I know. I remember that. And then during is it Lent? Is that
That's around the Easter time. That's before you got to give up the.
Yeah, and we would be especially busy then. Yeah, I never connected it that much, but I remember, you know, from just working there every year, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's."
I'm surprised. Is Long John Silver still around? It is still around. I see the head nuts.
I see it now. It's like it's connected to like a Kentucky Fried Chicken and an A&W and a Long John Silver's. They'll all be in the same thing.
I'm surprised there's not some sort. I'm surprised they haven't approached you and said, "Let's do a Flaming Lips box with spicy fish." And I just see your ears just went up. Your manager, just like manager. Listen, think about it.
The spicy is flaming.
The Flaming Lips, the Flaming Lips box.
I like it.
And then there's fun Flaming Lips toys inside.
I agree. I like.
Oh my God,
this
is.
I like this.
He literally just did he just put the that hand
Yeah.
on the chin
Yeah.
in a contemplative chin stroke.
Yeah.
More worry.
It's more worry about that. Okay. All right. Listen, if you don't want $1 billion, which that would make, clearly. But I love the fact that you loved working at Long John Silver's because that was, so if you started in 77, 13 years, 1990.
When I was 16, you know, that was the year I was, you know, turned 16. And back then, that was the year you could start to have a job, you know.
But that means you worked there till you were 30.
Yeah.
And
it was, you know, we got signed to Warner Brothers probably in the late of 1990 and still worked there, not very much, but was still working there, you know, even through some of that. Yeah.
But the early Flaming, like the early iteration of the band, you were working at Long John Silver's.
Oh, yeah, the whole time. Great. Yeah. And I mean, and they wanted me to be an assistant manager and all this stuff, but I didn't really want to because it just took up too much time. And by the end of it, I would have 6 weeks of paid vacation every year, you know,
Sure.
and to go out on tour and do all that and still get your $80 a week from Long John Silver. Yeah, you know. But I think it really worked for me, you know, because I didn't really want a serious job that took, you know, a lot of time and a lot of responsibility. That probably wouldn't have been very good at it anyway. And this was the type of job that within the first 2 weeks you've got this thing. You know, it's kind of mindless work in a way once you know the routines of it. And yeah, it really worked for me because it made me enough money that I could sort of live.
And a pirate costume.
Well, yeah.
Year round. You could be a pirate.
Funny now, I do occasionally wear an eye patch on stage. But
Shout out to your roots.
Well, and plus it just looks cool on an old guy. You know, you just look tougher or something. But yeah, I think it's funny how all those things. They do connect. You know, it's like that's the wonder of the subconscious. You know, you think it's you doing it with your conscious mind up here, and there's all these things working below the surface that you just get to have for better or for worse.
But I also love that. You know, because you referred to your band as like, oh, we're this arty band and we got this mainstream thing. But I love that you're not snobby about any of it. Where you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Like you embrace. You seem very positive about everything and not like when I hear arty band, I think like, oh, those people are probably really annoying to hang out with because they're so arty. But
I know exactly that feeling. Yeah, I know what that is.
So how are you not that?
Well, I mean, I think art is just a description. That doesn't mean it's great or superior or anything. It's like it's just to acknowledge. I mean, when I say I'm an artist, I'm not always proud of that. I mean, I see it as being a slightly annoying obsession to some people. But it's some good things come out of it, and it seems to work for me. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, though. There's a not just pretentious, but a kind of like the world doesn't understand me sort of thing. And I always hated that. You know, it's not up to the world to understand you. It's up to you to make yourself understood, right?
Sure, sure, yeah. But do your fans understand that about you? Do you have the type of relationship with them where anything you do, they go, "Oh yeah," because
Well, I think some of them, yeah. But I mean, we're not playing to millions and millions of normal housewives either. You
right.
know, I mean, we're a lot of times we are playing to, the kind of. The freakiest of the freaks out there.
Right.
Which we want, and they're musicians and they're artists and they're, doing their own thing as well. So, I mean, most groups have an element of that, that the people that really love you, they're kind of doing what you're doing, they understand it. Yeah.
I mean, so when you start collaborating with Miley Cyrus, are they going, yeah, because that's what they do, or they go, what is this?
Well, I think there's because we've been doing it for a couple of years now, there are segments of our audience, there'd be one segment of our audience that's older that wouldn't really know Miley Cyrus. They wouldn't really know even who she is, and they would probably think, well, if the Flaming Lips like her, I like her, and
sure.
It doesn't matter. And then there'd be this middle audience that's just old enough and young enough to know who she is and probably know her from more than Hannah Montana than anything else,
right?
And would think, "Oh my God, why is this?" Or the Flaming is trying to go, in this commercial way or this Walt Disney World. What is this? And they're probably the ones that were the most confused and the most anti. Miley Flaming Lips, And then you've got, the segment that's young that kind of knows Miley from being more of like the twerking and stuff like
right.
that than from anything else. And they think it's fun and radical.
Yeah.
And so, so there's, the old people that don't know, they love it. And the young people that do know, they love it. There's that area in the middle. And I can understand that. I can understand if you grew up in that time where, you loved your music and yet you were kind of assailed by the popularity of something like like Miley. You might be annoyed that why are these guys now joining forces with her? And I think I'm probably more in the old person category where I wouldn't really know that much about her other than the little bits of it that I thought were interesting.
Sure. Starting
in 2013. And now as I go back, I get more of an idea of what some of the world thinks of her. So it would be kind of a crossover of all that. Yeah. But I think it all gets a little less intense, the bad part of it anyway, once we made the record with her and people get to listen to it and they can see, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And
it's almost like you have to experience things before you can judge them.
Well, no. I mean, people love to judge, and people love to, they love to not have to sort it out for themselves. But again, I think that's up to us. That'd be up to us to say, I understand where you're coming from. And I think that's what makes it appealing to us, too, to work with her, that it would be,
yeah.
Oh, my God, what is it? It's interesting. Maybe interesting for the bad or good, but it's interesting. And so I think that, would absolutely be the thing like, well, yeah, let's see what this is about. And then once we got to know her and became friends with her and started to make music, all that none of that would matter after a while. But
right.
That initial thing of it, I still think it's less and less now would it start to sound, does it seem like a weird sentence to put the Flaming Lips and Miley Cyrus together. But in the beginning, it was fun.
I just think it's an interesting approach to fandom where, one type of fan really just sort of trusts what they're a fan of. Go, hey, if you like it, and then another part is like, I'm a fan, but I need this to be exactly what I need it to be.
I own you.
I own you, and I own.
Yeah, I made you. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to like everything that an artist does, but at least if you're in it for the long term, and go, hey, I trust them. I've built up this trust with them, and
Well, I mean, I like that they're intense, and most listeners. By the time they get to be 25 or 26, they're kind of done with music anyway. There's music from when they were young and they like it and whatever that was. But I always hold, and I think it's true that, if you keep listening to music as you get older and you keep discovering new things, you could hate the Miley Cyrus and the Flaming Lips collaboration when you're 20. But if you keep listening to music, by the time you're 30, you would absolutely love it. And I
Sure.
think that could really happen in someone's life.
That's a really
you know?
interesting, because especially I think when you're young, there's a lot of identity seeking.
There is,
And
yeah.
it's like, I want to align with this,
You
but
do.
I don't want to align with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
but I think that happens sometimes with older people too, because it is.
They do. Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like you said, it's.
Yeah.
It does require energy to allow new things to come
Well,
in.
we know that because we've covered records by Pink Floyd, and they're especially the Dark Side of the Moon record. I mean, some of their audience holds that as like,
untouchable. You can't
the
kick
Holy
near
Grail.
that. How dare
Why
you?
would you? Yeah, and it's like. I try to remind them. It's like their music still exists untouched out there. It's still there.
You can still go. The government does not come in and take your existing Dark Side of the Moon records.
See, this
and
isn't like
replace them.
someone taking your bicycle. If they come in and take your bicycle, they have it and you don't. See,
Right.
this isn't like that. Pink Floyd's music is untouched, still there like it always was. And this is over here. And if you don't want to have it, it doesn't matter. But they don't really like that. They like this. I want to fight for my right. It's it's like sports or something.
But I think that's what's fun is being able to put different spins on things or to try
you do,
things.
yes,
and,
yeah, of course you do. Yeah,
and
yeah,
even
yeah.
if it doesn't work, it's like, hey, whatever. You tried something weird and fun because this is an art thing and it's a fun thing to try. Like,
well, I know. I would try to remind them. It's like, musicians like doing things like that. They like taking other people's music and ideas and seeing if they can put a little twist on it. It doesn't hurt anybody. And I know. I always try to say, like, in the list of crimes against humanity, this is not very, very important. Yeah,
I know. Sometimes I see people get worked up about an entertainment thing now, and I go, there are really listen.
Yeah.
It's great that you love this thing, and it's great that you're passionate. However, there are some fucked up things in the world
that you could really get behind.
Yeah,
and try to change and
That
try
you
to
could
put your
really-
energy into that.
really try to change that thing.
But
And-
that's not what people really want to do. I mean, I think that's why sports and weather will never cease to be interesting to people.
Sure.
'Cause it's like they don't really have to do anything and they get to complain about it.
Right.
Complaining without being involved that's definitely
Humans,
definitely a human.
that is our fucking mutant power.
Yeah.
Is baseless
Let
complaining.
me tell you
but-
how much I hate this, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Yeah.
But the thing is, I think a lot of that's just venting, because the other stuff is so bad and they can't do anything about it. Maybe it's like, okay, well, at least I know about this one, not life or death thing.
Yeah,
and I'm just going to get some of that out now.
And it bonds us all. You
Sure.
know, I mean, the day after your team wins or loses, I mean, virtually everywhere you go, there's that. We have that together, even though we don't know each other or anything, or whether any of that stuff. It bonds us in that way.
It does
Yeah.
prevent you.
Yeah.
It really does prevent you from ever really having to say to someone at a party, "Hey, who are you really? What do you like? Like, what do you really like?" It's like,
Well,
you
but
just,
that's
just
uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable for people.
Of
I mean,
course.
no one. I mean, it's not uncomfortable for you. I mean, at one time it was for me, but I've gotten to where I just don't give a fuck.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
No, but I do think that's true though. I think the older you get, it's not a negative like you don't give a fuck. It's just like it's just too much energy to care about.
Yeah.
To maintain this matrix of oh, what is that thing? And what is that person? And what if did I say something? It's like it's so much fucking energy.
Well, I think you're lucky, and I think I'm lucky that we've become less insecure about that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I see where people they don't like to not know what to say. I mean, I run into that all the time. And especially even like being with Miley earlier today. You run into people and they're, oh my God, you're Miley, and they don't know what to say.
Right.
And she does, because she's around it, a million times a day. And so I think that's part of the deal, and I just don't think people like not knowing. They get nervous. And
Of
once
course.
you get nervous, everything is messed up. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah.
Well,
It's like getting stoned when you weren't ready for it or something. You're almost the same, but you're just not as smart as you want to be, or as
I was very fortunate.
relaxed.
I was very fortunate in college that I had a couple really bad experiences with weed that I just never did it again.
No, see, we're the same like that. I talk about this all the time. It's like there are some people that can just smoke the most potent pot all the time and never
the worst it gets for them is they go, "I'm really stoned." Ha ha ha. But for me, I was like, "Do I need to go to the hospital?"
That's me.
I'm dying.
That's me. I would get anxiety. Everything would be magnified. All the bad things would be magnified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but then real pot smokers go, "Oh, you just got some. You didn't get good weed." Like, well, yeah, I don't. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna take the journey to find the good stuff. Okay.
Well, I admire that they probably have some other disposition than we do. I mean, I probably worry too much about things that are never going to happen, and they probably don't worry enough about things that really are going to happen. And when they get stoned, it's like it's a wonderful world. Serial killers and all that. Who cares? And when I get stoned, everybody is a little bit suspect. Everything could happen. Chaos really does rule, and then I'm scared. And it doesn't work for me.
You just ball up and wait. I just remember balling up and just waiting for it to pass.
It doesn't. I know that's the dilemma. I mean, it is funny because it seems like being stoned is, again, it's not that serious. But once you're in that state of mind, you can't get out of it.
No.
Nothing you can do gets you out of it. You can't get drunk. You can't exercise. There's nothing you can do. You kind of just have to wait it out. Hopefully fall asleep and wake up and you're back to normal. But it is. And I didn't realize it when I was young how many times I was getting like a contact high.
Oh,
I would be
of course.
around my brothers and their friends and they're smoking some potent weed. And I would often feel that way, and knowing that I wasn't, what was this? It wasn't until I was older that I realized, that's
what that was.
Pot's doing that to me. And
that's funny. Yeah, I think it's probably been, 2002 maybe was the last time that
a
it
long
happened.
time ago now.
And I just don't.
But you don't smoke it now.
I don't do anything. So
right.
and especially that.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I mean, I did fear, all the bad things that people would say about drugs, and being around, a lot of people, even in my family, becoming drug addicts and all that. It does kind of, and I think you're probably like me. You just are a worrier. You just
100%.
Yeah. And I always just think, and this lapse into irresponsibility and what would happen to you and what damage would you do and all that. And that, if you're like that, you don't want to be taking 5 hits of LSD and 5 hits of Molly and but people do.
I know. I was never, I never really did anything other than weed, and I used to drink a lot, but I never did mushrooms either. And that's one where people are like, it's weird at first, but you just got to ride it out. And I go, I would fucking, before I would, in the ride it out phase, I would fucking jump into traffic. Like it would not.
No, see, I think you could probably now your mind is probably mature enough that you could do a little bit and go, oh, okay, I think I know
it's
it.
Not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk. I'll just stick with the Starbucks. I'll stick with the Starbucks.
But no,
shrooms.
see, we were talking about coffee earlier today as well. Coffee is it jacks you up, but it jacks you up in a very precise way. And I sometimes think it makes me mean. It makes me
aggressive.
It makes me feel like I'm right, and because I'm right, I get to kill you if I need to,
right,
because I'm right, and that's not worth it. I like that feeling of being very alert and awake, but it jacks up this one part of you. So it's still some awareness.
I still can't drink. It's not. I don't go to Starbucks for coffee. It's just their chai lattes. I can't actually drink regular. If I drank regular coffee, my anxiety level would be.
Oh, I see.
It'd be like like my fingernails would be peeling back as I'm scraping on.
Well, you're just wired.
I am, but you said you're a worrier, and that makes me wonder if you think that
I'm worried about you.
I'm fine. I'm totally fine. You should be worried about me if I'm drinking coffee or smoking weed. Otherwise, I'm fine. But do you think that worry is a necessary component of creation? Like it's because you're constantly trying to express something.
No, I mean I know. There's a lot of folks out there that just they just don't have that. And they're creative and doing cool things, and they're not. And I'm not always that way. It's just. When I was younger, I guess I had this desire to be grown up, and then I think I'm lucky that now that I realize I'm grown up, I think, oh, well, now I'm already grown up. I don't have to try to be grown up, and I think that allowed me to relax a little bit. Otherwise, I think you just become too much of a curmudgeon,
Sure.
And that's no fun either. And I do want to have fun with people. I'm interested in what they're doing too. I don't want to just be like, I know everything now.
I know, but that's tough. That curmudgeonism is such a it's a real seductive path.
I've seen that in people, and I think that's why I was like, I don't want to become like that, or maybe I'm already like that or something. And so, and I don't think there's anything inherently bad about occasionally being embarrassed or being wrong or being stupid or
of course.
You know what I mean? As long as you're not trying to hurt somebody or something like that. So I think I've loosened up on that, and I've tried to get more drunk and get more fucked up here and there, but it hasn't really worked that well, But I'm trying to be more fun. I would try to be more fun.
Well, that's
and
good.
Be more not so worried all the time.
That's good.
Yeah, and there is probably a quote that I saw of like, all the things that you've worried about that have never happened.
Of course.
And then I'll be around people and be like, yeah, right. Why should we worry about it? And I don't know. I used to be on an airplane and to be taking off, and I'd be like, "Did you hear that sound? It doesn't sound good." And most people are just like, "Dude, what are you worried about?"
So you understand how a plane runs? No, but I don't think that's a good.
Yeah, exactly. You're looking at the faces of the stewardesses, and they're like, they look worried. Is something going? And I think after the 10,000th time that I was on one, something just said, I'm not going to worry about it.
Boy, what would be really interesting as an experiment? At first I was thinking, if you got to the end of your life and someone said, here's the number of hours you spent worrying about things, and you go, oh, fuck, that was a lot of time.
Well, I would consider that, yeah.
I think a fun experiment might be, for you or me or anyone listening, is whenever you feel worry, like an irrational worry come on, if you're a worrier or anxious person, write down, like make a logbook, write down what you were worried about and the amount of time you spent on it. And then just after a month or 3 months or 6 months, add up all the time and then go, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And then you'll see, like, I spent 3 weeks worrying about, whatever it was.
Well, and part of it is you're trapped with your personality. Your personality is probably is guiding you along that. Yeah.
Shit.
But I would say maybe there are things out there that can help you. And stop worrying so much.
It is a pattern, though. Like worry is just it's a pattern. It's
I think it's that fear that your responsibilities, you'll let somebody down, or you won't do the thing that was expected of you or something. And so I don't know. This interview isn't going that well, and I'm not that embarrassed.
Yeah, I appreciate that about it. I appreciate that you stuck with it. The whole time. The whole time you wrote it out.
I just kept hoping.
You pushed through it like a bad weed trip. And you've done a really good job. Smiling the whole time.
She laughs once in a while. That's it.
I have to say, it's very hard to make Katie laugh. So when you do make her laugh, it's like a genuine...
Well, I don't know. She's probably watching a movie or something over there that's actually funny.
I don't know what... I know. Fuck, I never thought about that. This whole time, I might have been just taking credit for stuff that actually was not deserved. I'm still going to take the credit no matter what. I loved your new album, by the way.
Well, thank you.
That is definitely one that you can listen to from start to finish.
I made light of that, but I think that is a great thing. I absolutely love records like that you put it on, and it's not just songs. It's a mood. It's a feeling.
Yes.
It's pushing you into this thing, and you can think of it as a story, or you can think of it as just being connected, like someone's connected stuff, and it doesn't just feel like, oh, it's just a song and whatever. But I love that, and then to know that other people are getting that same experience out of it, it's just it's wonderful.
So
Thank you.
So when you're touring that album, do you play it the way that it's laid out on?
No. Part of us, I think a while back started to just, differentiate between the introverts that want to be in the studio and create music and all that sort of stuff, and the extroverts that have to be on stage and say, hey, look at me, here we are, And I think everybody struggles with that. I think we probably, because we've been doing it for so long, have had a good long time of kind of the balance of what that means. And I think we probably have it a little bit easier. I think it must be harder to be an extrovert and to wish to be an introvert.
Right.
To whereas it's not that difficult to be an introvert and to face, what it is, like the embarrassment or whatever it is about being, the show off or whatever. So I think we've gotten better at that. But definitely when we appear on stage, we maybe not all of us to the extent that I'm doing it, but I mean, we all take on the role of like, hello, no, we're here to entertain you. And you're drunk and fucked up, and we are going to help you through all of this tonight with songs that you know and love. And, it's absolutely that level.
But
and
even
whatever,
the fact that you recognize that is nice, because it flies in the face of the term, like, we're an arty band, because it's not just for you. You understand that you're creating a relationship.
Well, right.
And
but
that you're there
within
for them
that,
too.
Entertainment can really be the great savior in the end.
Right.
It's not just throwaway. And I think we look at it like we're servants. We're here to serve you. You came to this thing, we're doing this job, and we love doing the job. And I think it really works in that way. And I think our music works better in that way. I don't think everybody's music probably does. I think there's probably some people you want to go see them, and they're absolutely in control, and they don't give a fuck about you. I think when we met Prince, the fact that we gave him some of our CDs, Scott, our manager, gave his bodyguard some of our CDs.
I gave it to Prince.
You gave it to Prince himself.
I handed it to
Oh, there you go. Okay, so he hands them to Prince, who absolutely doesn't know who we are and doesn't care,
Right.
which is even better. We go and watch him perform, and he's great, and he's insane, and he's so perfect or whatever. And at the end of the thing, he's given his CDs to the bodyguard or whatever, and the bodyguard comes up and says, Prince doesn't want these.
No. What he said was, Prince thanks you for this.
And hands it back.
And so
I love that he re-gifted your CDs back to you. Prince thanks you for
So
this.
I'm just saying, I just think every artist has their way of getting to you. And so I think it probably wouldn't have been as powerful if Prince would have said, I love you guys too. I'm a dork, just like you. It's like, no, I'm not like you. And I don't even know who you are. And I wouldn't listen to you. I wouldn't watch you play. I wouldn't come to your house.
I love the story ends really hilariously. Although I kind of thought I was going in the direction of, and a week later we got a handwritten letter, and he said no.
No, see that would ruin the Princeism of
But
the whole
he
thing.
is kind of, because I knew someone who dated him a long time ago, and I was so fascinated by that concept. I mean, probably 25 years ago, and I said, so you can't just talk to him like a normal person, right? Like, you can't say, hey, I'm going to run to McDonald's, Prince. You want to have some fries or something? And she said, you're not allowed to address him first. He has to talk to you first. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Even if you're dating him, you got to do that?
Wow.
Yeah, so he definitely had a very altered reality.
Yeah, I mean, and like not having to date him, I think it's wonderful. I just think if you were going down to McDonald's for him, after a while, it'd be annoying. But no, but I mean that's the way he chose to present his ideas and his stuff. I think that's amazing. So I mean, I'm saying for us, I don't think it would work. I think the idea that we're like, look, we're here to, we're here. We're so glad to be part of this experience with you. And I think our music probably penetrates and has more power coming from that side of our personality, or maybe we tried it the other way and that just didn't work. I don't know.
It feels like it's just not a part of who you are,
right? And I think that's probably the hardest part of. It's not that you're just doing music. You have to be this entity that presents it, and I think we always sort of felt like, well, we're just normal dorks, and we're lucky that we get to make this music. But I think that in and of itself becomes a character.
Sure.
You get to be that person, and I think we just were very lucky that being true to ourselves and being just being ourselves. You're just lucky that works. Because if it doesn't, what do you do? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you. That's a great question.
Well, I don't know. You keep trying things and hope, but and so I don't know. I mean, most of it is just dumb luck, like we said earlier. It's just dumb luck that any of it comes together and works and seems to last. And
I mean, I think it's less luck than you might think. I mean, I do think there are subconscious forces at play, sort of like you were saying before, but the idea that you do make choices along the way that maybe you don't think about, and you go, I guess we got lucky, but it's like, but you made you set the table for the luck to pay. It's like you. Well, I do believe in a lot of cases you do make your own luck for the most part.
Well, I think when you're always doing what we call the work or whatever it is
Right.
that you're doing, which sounds boring. You don't want it to be work, but it is. I think that's really the thing it is. You're just doing it. Yeah, and if you weren't doing it all the time, you wouldn't know what the luck was.
Right.
It would happen or not happen, and you wouldn't be aware of it. But when you're doing it all the time and something happens and you can take advantage of it or go away from it or be resilient to it if it's bad things happen. I think that's probably the best thing that happens is you're moving along and bad things happen and you can just get through it. It doesn't destroy all your belief and your momentum and your, what you thought you were about or something. So it's probably more that. And then the longer you do it, there probably is some, internal mechanism that just whatever you're doing, you'll probably just keep doing it. We were accidentally watching this show called My 600-Pound Life.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has to be true. Well, I just started eating another candy bar that day.
Right.
And then 2 weeks later, I ate 4 candy bars.
Right.
And
Right.
Now I eat 35 of them in an
Right.
hour.
Right.
Something must be part of our thing of just, we just keep going.
We just keep going.
Yeah.
You start making choices and you keep going down the that
for
path.
better or for worse. But
Are you playing Los Angeles soon? I know your tour is.
We're playing tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
We're
not playing right now. It's later tonight.
Is this?
Yeah.
This isn't the concert right now. That's crazy.
This could be the
This
concert.
could be the concert.
Yeah,
Where are you guys
yeah.
playing? Where are you playing?
We're playing at the Ace Hotel
Oh,
Theater.
wow, that's
It is an
awesome.
insanely well-preserved, very freaky, arty theater in there. It's I don't know how it stayed so great looking. And you go in there and you don't really even need to do anything. You just stand in there and look at the theater. It's just,
that's really cool.
It is. It's just this beautiful old theater. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then I'm sure.
I don't know what the theme of the theater was when they made it. I mean, it looks like it's old, like drippy and elaborate, and glass everywhere, and it seems hazardous that the Flaming Lips are actually playing there, But I think we've given them our word that we're not going to destroy anything.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's
fans
good.
won't do anything.
Maybe
to
just
it, but-
one little thing, just to remind them that you were there.
Damn! Don't get us started. No, it's wonderful. So yeah, we're playing there. Yeah.
And please, I'm sure you get this question a ton because the album is a Polish phrase.
It is, but people don't have to know that. I think most people say it the way that it looks. The title on the record is kind of, drippy looking or whatever, but I call it Oczy Mlody. Is that what you were getting at?
I put the stress on the different. I was calling it Oczy Melody, but
Right.
but melody I like it better.
Well, melody, it's like melody, but it just doesn't have the e.
Doesn't have the e in it.
Melody, yeah. And we struggle with titles as everybody does. It's like, what do you call these things? And if you don't already have some wonderful, accident that's happened that allows it to be an obvious title, you do, you struggle with what do we call this stuff? And I think when we started to settle on that being at least one of the titles that of one of the songs, and then thinking maybe the album could be called that, sometimes that really helps you. I always sort of feel like you have to make some decision, and then you can decide whether it's good or bad. But to sit there in the stew of trying to make 20 decisions and never make them, nothing ever happens. And so sometimes I'll just sort of announce, as we're getting into making a record, here's what we're going to call it. And we can change our minds if we want to or whatever, but we just start. And that sometimes will mold it into being this thing that really does sound like that title works. I remember even for a record called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. We were moving along making a record. And then we started to title it Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. And the last 3 or 4 songs came together and sounded exactly like that record. But none of it did until then. And sometimes I think that's just, that's what you have to do. It starts to seem like something, and then that helps you, it's all abstract anyway. But, for me, I start to connect, it sounds like it's...
Yeah, but that's what's great, though, because it's rather than kind of wallowing in the decision-making process, you just make a decision. But as long as you can say, if we change our minds later, fine, let's just say this now.
Right.
And then that way it just cuts out all of the second guessing.
Well, I always say it's the power of the decisive mind. Your mind is here saying, yeah, whatever you want to do, man, I'll help you. But just you have to decide. And once you decide, it can say, well, okay, let's really look at what you're doing now. And I know this is true because about 10 years ago, I was Christmas shopping, and I have a list, and it gets to be close to Christmas. You just make a list, and it's like 300 people, and we've not bought one thing for anybody, And we went into the store, and we're going around. It's one of these knick-knack sort of stores where you buy this sort of useless junk.
All the stuff that I have here, yeah.
That you could buy for anybody.
For anybody.
And we're in there in an hour, we don't get anywhere, and we go back, and it's like, we got to start to get stuff. And we buy like one thing. We decide for one person that we're going to get, and suddenly we bought 20 things. We left the store. We didn't even get to the car, and we thought, no, let's go back in. And before we knew it, we bought like almost everybody's stuff at that one thing. And it just helped us say, let's just start to do it. Let's start. And once you start, it does. It helps you, and it takes all the other decisions away, and it helps you relax. And like you said, you can change your mind. It's not that big of a deal unless you're embarrassed about it or you made too much of a fuss about it. But, we do that all the time now. You just say it's going to be this. And then if you walked into the studio a week later, you'd be like, well, what happened to that? Be like, I don't know.
It's not that anymore.
I didn't like it as much after a while. And you can just do that. It's just a song. It's just, it's not that big of a deal. And we do that all the time. Sometimes we change our mind 5 or 6 times and say, well, here it is. Yeah. And you don't know when it's right. Who knows? I mean, there's some kind of, lie about art that you just intuitively know. It's like, no, you don't know anything. You just hope that something happens and you hear it as if someone else was doing it instead of you doing it. Because when you're doing it, it just doesn't feel... It doesn't surprise you. It's like scratching your own head.
Yeah.
If someone else scratches your head, it feels absolutely wonderful. And it's the same thing.
When you scratch your own head, you just feel like a chimp.
No, it feels pretty good.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing. But I mean, when someone else does it, it's like they could just do it all day.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's virtually the same thing. But it's not a surprise to you. It's not nuanced. You know what you're doing. And it's the same thing. So, I try to arrive at all art in that same way. It's like, even though I'm doing a lot of it, I want it to be put into someone else's hand, and I want that to be what I'm affected by.
Yes, exactly, because you're essentially bringing your half to the table, which is the thing, and the audience is bringing their baggage and emotional stuff that fill in the gaps and help complete the story.
All music, I think, is made. I mean, that's why music can be so powerful. It's like there's the music, and then there's what your life and what you bring to it. And that can make it the greatest thing ever. I mean, it really is just a song. But what you think it is, in art and music, it is that. I mean, a lot of things that's not true. But if you think it's the best song ever, then it is. That's no one can come up to you, and tell you, that song that you like, it's not any good. It's like, if you like it,
it's good. It's good to you, yeah.
And if you don't like it, no one can come up to you and say, well, that song that you hate, it's really good. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like food. If you don't like it, it doesn't really matter if someone is saying, well, this is a 5-star restaurant, whatever. It's like, well, I don't like it. And it's true for that. But some things
This isn't a Long John Silver's.
But some things in life aren't like that. And we have to decide, oh, well, this is good and this is bad. But with art and food, you get to decide.
You get to be in control. You get to be the critic. Well, I hope you do this Long John Silver's promotion. I think it'd be great.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just waiting to happen. And good luck on the show tonight.
Well,
have a great time.
I think it's going to be marvelous. Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
This is like a little bit of therapy session for both of us.
It is a little bit, yes.
Yeah. More for you, I felt like, though, really.
Well, there were a couple times where I thought, I think Wayne's getting a little teary now.
I was the whole time.
Yeah, he might be on the edge of a real breakthrough.
Yeah. Right now. No.
This is it.
No.
Now?
Yeah.
Wait, is it now?
No, I didn't feel too teary.
No.
More fun. Like,
okay, good.
Yeah, we were
laughing
laughing together.
Good. Well, maybe we'll run into
other... Your enthusiasm is contagious.
Well, yours
is
too,
to
though.
Me. It's not to them. I mean,
no. He's on his phone.
Phones. Yeah, they're on their phones.
He's thinking about the Long John Silver's deal and how that's going to pay off
at
some point. And Prince.
He's looking at where he's going to get some shoes.
I almost kind of feel like you have to frame the CD that was given. I'm so glad to hear that you saved it.
It's in my cat.
That is fantastic. And you just make a plaque underneath that says Prince thanks you for this and just put the CD in.
I have a little sticky note on the back that says Prince touched this.
That is fantastic.
How else would you know? Because it's just the CD. It's not
Make a
signed or
plaque.
anything.
Get it engraved.
I know.
It's
I know.
time.
We could probably do some forensics if we had to and know that that's his fingerprints or something.
And clone him.
He probably wore gloves, though. You know, he probably is like, no, man.
It's very possible
You
he
know,
might not have touched
you
anything.
can't have-
You're not allowed.
You can have access to any of my DNA or anything.
He might have. He might have showered in a purple jumpsuit. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was. Maybe he was a never nude.
But I mean, that being said, I mean, we did absolutely feel honored to be just in the room with him, and that's a great thing. He is just a man. You know what I mean?
But you fill in the story, though.
Yeah, but all that thrill and excitement and that nervousness and everything, he's made that, and that's a great creation. To say it's just his presence is cool.
Well, that's true, but I do like that you're approachable. That's nice. That's nice that you're approachable.
We probably tried to be more like Prince. It just didn't work.
It just didn't work.
Yeah, so
didn't
here we
work
are.
too much.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah.
Well, I also appreciate your enthusiasm, and I love that you. I love that you're sincere and earnest, and it doesn't really seem like you like stuff that you like, and you don't like stuff you don't like. And there's no like pretense behind it. It's just, and maybe that's a Midwest thing too. Maybe that's kind of a Midwest thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just that we're older, and it just it
just doesn't matter anymore.
Or it's just it's just more fun to not be so intense about it.
Yeah.
Intensity can be a great thing, but it can also be like. Yeah,
in doses, it's fine.
So
but all the time,
maybe I'm learning a little bit of that. Yeah, from you. Maybe I'm learning that from you.
Listen, if anyone learned anything from me, I would feel like I would be surprised, but then I would also feel like it was all worth it up to this moment. If someone could take away, something.
But you saying even that stuff you said about smoking pot, a lot of people feel embarrassed, like, oh, I don't. For some reason, it doesn't work for me. But the more you say it, the more it invites the other person to. Be like, oh, I know what you mean by that.
Yeah, I just don't, I for someone who was very afraid when I was younger about fitting in and not fitting in, I feel like now the older I get, like, well, this is it. What do you want? And I was like, this is it. This is what it is. So this is who I am, and but I really wish I could fucking go to the show tonight. I didn't know it was tonight.
I know. No, it's too crowded already. You shouldn't come.
All right, listen, I accept your invitation, Wayne.
Because then if we have to invite everybody around, it's like there's just not enough room.
No, Katie's watching a movie. She's not even paying attention to this. She's not going to know. She's not going to have any idea. But I really would love to see you live at some point soon. Maybe if there's a...
we'll come back.
More dates. We're doing dates with Mac.
Yeah,
Oh, fantastic.
We'll do more. Yeah,
I would love to.
And we'll include you in the loop.
Please do.
This time. Yeah,
please do. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Well, you too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oczy Mlody is the album and the tour that's coming up, that is now in progress and coming up U.S. and Europe.
Yep.
And
the world. We call it the whole Earth tour.
The whole Earth tour.
Yeah.
And
because we would someday it would be great to tour in outer space and the moon and all the other galaxies.
Zero gravity.
It? Someday, no. I mean, but we're in your Star Wars.
Yeah.
Wallpaper.
Although I will say this, in space, no one can hear you shred because there's no atmosphere to collect the sound waves.
Well, that's if you're like in space with no helmet or oxygen or anything.
Right.
We would be in a room.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes more sense.
In like a spaceship or something where we could play music.
Okay, I like this.
It's not just going to be in.
You'll be
in open frozen.
You'll be in the Long John Silver space station. I feel like there's going to be.
He's reminding me. No one can hear you in space. Don't mess this up.
There's going to be a space station somewhere, and there will be fast food on that space station when people start populating. It'll be just like a food court, space food court.
Yeah, and we'd know that's not healthy, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
fun. Fuck it, you're in space. Who cares?
But I liked. But you have to remember the idea it was fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, and there was just no time to make this kind of
no
food
time to make a pot roast
Yeah.
or catch a fish and skin it, and it's like they just like right
See, we
there.
were remarking the other day of how the world's changed now. It's like it used to be you left the house for entertainment, but you cooked at home. Only made
my
sense.
God, you're right.
But nowadays it's like you won't cook anything at home. It's like we go out to eat, and everything entertainment we just have right there. We wouldn't dare go.
That
to the
is a
movie theater.
fantastic point that I never thought.
It's
I
all
have not thought
switched.
of.
Yeah, there's more restaurants than ever, and yet they're all still here.
We're lazy when it comes to everything but food. We're lazy about
Well, no,
everything
we're
else.
lazy because we don't want to make it. We don't want to go shopping. We don't want to cook it. We don't want to clean up. We don't want to do the dishes. We don't want to do anything. We want to give you $5 and you'll do everything, and we'll just
eat it.
Go home and watch more Netflix.
I am often fascinated by the idea that we just eat whatever someone brings to us without any question as to, you know.
See, you're worried again.
I'm not really. Yes,
I know.
but you know,
No,
I'll still do it.
You mean like Postmates or something like that?
Like Postmates or something where it's like, hey, I don't really know any of these people. They're
Well, I
just
know.
bringing something, you know, like the guy.
Well, but what would they do to it? We had Postmates delivered yesterday, and someone said that to us. We were like, you know, why would they care?
I know.
See, I'm like, we're just another useless customer.
Maybe
on their
some guy's
list,
mad at
and-
Postmates and he wants to like just
Right.
like drop a turd in a
No,
bag and
I
not
know.
tell you about it and go, here's your chow mein.
But
And you're like,
wouldn't
this
you
is...
know it's a turd, or would you just eat it thinking, man, that looks like a turd, but I think I'm going to eat it?
I feel like it would take me like 6 or 7 bites, like 3 bites in. This might be a turd. Nom, 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 nom. God, I'm still not sure.
No. I mean, that probably will happen now that you've
You know,
talked
unfortunately,
about it.
I inherited a weird thing about food from my dad, where I'll just eat stuff really without really. My dad was at one of my favorite dad stories is we were at a Cracker Barrel once, and a fly landed in his grits, and he fucking just ate around it while the thing struggled to gain freedom. He just ate in a moat around a grit moat around the fucking fly.
Because he's a manly man. And manly men have been eating around, you know, the dead insects for centuries.
It was alive. He ate around the thing that was alive. It was like a fucking art piece by the time he was done with it.
That's amazing.
It really was.
Did he make a stink of it, or is it like,
No.
hey, I'm just hungry? And
That's exactly what
Yeah.
it was. He was like, what am I going to do? Not eat it? Yes, you're not going to. You shouldn't. But he
Wow.
didn't care. He goes, I ate around it. That was his justification.
Wow.
Yeah, and that fly died the weirdest death of any creature.
Looking up at your
My dad.
hungry dad.
Yeah. The fly must have thought, oh, this is a predator. I'm going to be... But it just like, oh, I see. He's just going to consume the vicinity around me. He's going to eat the neighborhood and then just leave me where I am.
So you're the thing that you carry with you now is that you would eat the fly, or you would eat around the fly, or you wouldn't. I guess I'm confused.
I would free the
aftermath.
fly, but I would eat around the area where he landed. I would free him.
But you wouldn't just say, I can't eat that. A fly touched it.
No.
No, I wouldn't do that. I mean, if you're at a barbecue outside, I mean, there's everything lands on your food.
Of
and
course.
You just eat it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
If you knew everything that was in your food, you'd never eat anything. So it's just better to not care
who
or know.
cares?
There's just
Yeah.
no energy.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
All right.
All right. Well, that was a good ending.
That was a good landing
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
We landed in the middle of this podcast grit. And now we're struggling to break free. So we're going to eat around.
We're eating around.
We're going to eat
Yeah.
around the fly.
Yeah.
And so normally I say...
There is a great metaphor in there. I'll figure it out as soon as we leave. Yeah.
Well, normally I say, well, you know what it is? Maybe it's just worry about what you can control. You can't control the fly, but you can eat around it. So normally we say enjoy your burrito to end the podcast, which means enjoy your present as it's happening. But maybe today we'll just say eat around the fly.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But I like how much of an impact that had on you. You watched this, or you were there with him.
Yeah.
Thinking, why don't you just kill it? Why don't you just eat it? Or
He
throw
was
the whole
just
thing away?
very A to B. It was very practical. You know, I'm hungry. I want these grits. I don't want to send it back. You know, all this whole thought process happened in a millisecond.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're doing that at home and a fly lands at home, you just eat it. There's no one to send it back to. And
No.
So he's probably thinking, well, Cracker Barrel, my house, who cares?
It doesn't
just a fly.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I would be that same way. I would understand.
I would absolutely...
Because I put in my time at Long John Silver's.
You understand how shit works, my friend.
Yeah, see, you're just out there getting the food. I'm back here slaving away, making it with the
In a
fly,
pirate costume.
insects, and everything, all the elements. Yeah,
You're swashbuckling.
totally. And some flies are going to get in the
They're gonna get in.
in the grits here.
You're gonna tell me that pirates didn't eat a few nasty
See,
things when they
that's
were
the
out
metaphor.
at sea?
That's the metaphor. Some flies are going to get in the grits,
And
just
you're
have to
gonna
learn
eat
to
around them. You
Yeah.
eat around them.
That's a good way to look at life.
Done.
Yeah.
We did it. Nice.
Now leaving Nerdist.com. Enjoy your burrito.